sorely has my heart beguiled. Her rosy cheeks and ruby lips alone she holds my heart enthralled. Then fill to me the parting glass
you feeling a wee bit Irish tonight? Are you? I hope so. Well, that's the end of the show, everybody. Hope you liked it. I know it was a long intro, but here's the deal. I love to take you away from wherever you were today. You're not there anymore. Tonight, we're all going to Ireland. Tonight, a Scottish Native American can sit here and say, I'm feeling a little Irish. Got my Boondocks Sake t-shirt on, you know. I got one of, when you go through life, we're just getting them on here. So you meet people. You know, we met each other here, everybody, all the wonderful people in this chat. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome mods, welcome gatekeepers. If you're new here, please, please, please subscribe and stay a while. You know, you're going to like it. This is a great group. And one of the reasons we're a great group is because through the years I've made friends, I've met people, I've met spirits that I know darn well were more familiar to me than some of my own family. I'm sure you've met them right away. You click, you understand, you get their energy, you feel their humanity, their warmth. You know they're a light worker. You know that their goal in life is to try everything they can to help somebody and still try to get through that life. And people with abilities have a real struggle sometimes, and you don't realize the toll it takes on their, you know, their home life, their work life, their life, and their physical being. But they drive on, and they choose to carry the light. Tonight we have a guest who is talented in so many ways, so many ways. He has been a wonderful scientist for NASA. He has the abilities to connect in to what I think is one of the coolest souls on earth, and that's animals, animal communication, here, living, or crossed over. You know that kind of grief that relieves? And also, he tends to bump into some of the most interesting ghosts I've ever heard of in some of the most interesting places. And tonight, we're going to take you to Ireland. Please welcome my friend, author, and talented in so many ways. But first and foremost, one of the best human beings I know, Mr. Rob Gutro. Get in here, Rob. Hi, sweetie.
Hi, Cisco. Wow, I think you oversold me.
Stop it, stop it, stop it. Listen, the thing is, you know, we're all here to learn about the light, to carry the light. These are all light workers. These are all wonderful people that are so interested in everything you've got to say and learning more and more about ghosts. We're all here for the same reason. And we get to do it in Ireland tonight.
We
Welcome,
do.
my friend. I hope you like the intro. It's a little bit of everything.
I love the intro. I have to tell you, I am a quarter Irish,
Oh,
so it it,
Ringelbra.
it really hit home. So yeah, it was amazing. You put together the greatest video compilations.
It's so much fun because again, we you want to take someone, you know, to where we're going and get them in a state of mind. You never know where everybody's been today. You know, now we're here and we're all together, and all of this energy is just, you can feel it. As soon as you come in, you can feel the energy out of this chat and the most wonderful people. So, hello to everybody here, and Rob, welcome, welcome. I want to say real hi, real quick, if you don't mind. D Rock, Froze Moment, Slow is in Ireland tonight, if I am not mistaken. Are you not Slow? Sometimes I get it wrong and I get mixed up. We're all around the globe tonight, Rob. So it's wonderful. I think it just blows my. Doesn't it blow your mind to think that we
It
can do
does.
this?
It does.
Here we are, and we're just all, you know, like we're all sitting in a room, just, you know, having conversation, and it's the coolest thing ever. Renice, welcome in. Jim's camera at dawn, love you, hon. I love the videos. You're doing a great job. Ted, welcome. Bobby, Vixen Doe, are you kidding me? I saw so many people in here, and Edna, if I missed you, I'll try to catch you throughout the chat. We will be having questions. Rob is very interactive with the chat and can see, you know, probably better than me, see the chat. So if you have a question, what I would ask you, like, let us get a little bit in. If you have a question that has to do with on topic about what we're talking about right now, yeah, shoot it in. Is that okay with you, Rob? I know you don't mind so much. And
Sure.
then and then let Rob get through it because he has amazing stories. The book is Ireland on a Medium's Vacation. It has hit all kinds of. It was number one. It's travel as well as, was it not? Help me out here.
Yeah, actually, I was really blown away by this. But yeah, we hit number one in Irish travel and number one in haunted and unexplained travel.
I'm trying to get the cover up here now. Isn't that wonderful? And again, the book was written. It came out a little bit ago, didn't? Or was this now? The trip was a little while ago, and the book just came. Is that correct?
Yeah, the trip was
Okay.
yeah, the trip was a little while ago. It just came out February 24th.
There you go. Okay. Right here, guys.
My plan was to release it a couple weeks before St. Patrick's Day to get everybody in the mood for the holiday.
Right. Much like the intros. See, we're on the same. I told you we were on the same path. You know, this is wonderful. But it does. It really works if you can hit it on time, like, you know, with Halloween and all the different stuff. You know, if you can hit that and get everybody in the same mindset, you know what I mean? It really does enhance the whole experience of not just the stories and hearing where you were and what happened to you and the unexpected things that you bumped into. Like when you were last on, we were talking all about well, not the last time, but the time before, it was Christmas, and we were talking about you going to the Ford's Theater to see A Christmas Carol.
Yes.
And bumping into spirits there and ghosts, because we all know here there's difference. There's a difference. Rob's wrote a whole book about it, and we've talked about it many a times. There's a difference. Ghosts and spirits. Ghosts are earthbound. Both Rob and I both say that spirits are crossed over, and many people do. Like Katie Turner, there's a difference, you know. So they should be described that way. I mean, you would agree, right, Rob?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, and it helps to understand, you know, what we're doing with so many different people being in so many different avenues of this subject. You know, some are very interested in the equipment and how it works and things like that. But you and I, the equipment we were given, we didn't really ask for. You want to tell a little bit about how you got started? I don't think we ever really touched on that on the show before, where you just said, okay, I've got abilities, let's just rock this, you know. Where was that for you, Rob?
Well, gosh, it was when I was a kid, Cisco. It was as usually happens to people. I've kind of found out 13 years old was the starting point when after my grandfather died. He appeared to me like 6-7 months later, and he scared the daylights out of me.
Yeah.
So when it's a longer story, but I told my parents, and my mother confessed that she had the ability, and her father, my grandfather that appeared to me, had the ability. So it ran on her side of the family. So,
everybody's saying hi to you, sweetie. Just keep going. I'm just throwing it up for the energy. We're just connected into all this wonderful energy. Keep going. Don't let me stop you. Go ahead.
So I kind of shelved that for a while, and in 2005, when my puppy Buzz passed away, when he was killed by a car tragically, he, as you know, he blew the doors off my abilities, and then I started learning how pets communicate, and as well as people. In 2010, I joined the paranormal investigation team, inspired ghost tracking of Maryland. Wrote a book about those too.
Yeah.
Behind me over here.
Lots of wonderful books, great author, and get the books, but we'll touch more on that later. Keep going, Rob.
Sure. So my paranormal journey really moved forward with being a member of a paranormal team, because I get called into houses and historic places and so forth. And I worked in tandem with my friend and fellow medium, Troy Klein, and others on the team to help solve problems and cross ghosts over to become spirits, and that's where we are.
Yeah, but you know, in paranormal teams, some of I got to tell you, I got to give you a plug. The YouTube channel that you are still that's still active and you have information on. Can you tell us that real quick, because I want to say something about it.
It's really my own YouTube channel. Just
go ahead.
Type in Rob Gutro, and you'll find it.
The reason I say that, for those of you interested in paranormal investigation, or interested in the ins and outs of that, and what happens if you have several people with abilities on a case or in a group, things like that. There's lots of information like that on Rob's channel. Go reach out and watch those vids and see all the interactions. You've been putting them on there for years. I know you've been putting them on here recently too, about different things that have to do with the books, different books, and things like that. But go in there and look, because it's a wealth of information, because that's what we're really here about, right?
Yes,
It's collecting
absolutely.
all the data from everywhere and seeing where all the puzzle pieces fit.
That's right. Trying to make sense of it all.
I try to get the cover to the box.
Yeah.
We're very visual people, and we want to go, wow, it's bigger than I thought. It's cooler than I thought. It's deeper. It's multi-layered. It's so interesting. We never get tired of delving into this subject. And so I wanted to get a little bit of a little bit about Rob and how he started out, in case you've never been here when he's been on, but he's a friend of this channel a long time. So go back and look into the archives of this channel as well for information, because he does great deep dives on animal communication, and several different themed episodes that we've had. Like I mentioned, the Christmas with the Christmas Carol, and very interesting ghosts you bumped into. And then we've had animal-based ones, and spirit cats, and just so many wonderful things. So go back and look at that archive as well. But tonight we're doing Ireland. So tell us a little bit about you. You went there, and I know you have a lot of special places. And just like me, Rob, I have some vids and I have some B-roll for you when you're talking about it. We can show. I even have a little short walkthrough, a 2-minute walkthrough of the jail, because I know that was one of your favorite. I know. I'm so excited. I'm such a kid about this. I'm a kid, Rob. I can't stand it.
I know. I love it.
I know. I just me too. But that was one of your favorite places. So I dug down and I found you some, because I thought how interesting it would be to show the chat a little bit about it, and then we'll tell your story, and then they have a visual to go with it. You say,
sure.
I thought it'd be wonderful. So you're going to Ireland. Tell us a little bit about getting there, and then we'll break it up into. I'd love to do St. Pat first if you want to. Can you talk on that first, do you think? And
I can. I'll give you a little intro about why I went there, and
please do.
Where I went, so that everybody knows what they're in for.
Go. That's wonderful. Please do.
If they read the book or listen to the show here. So this is the third book in my series, Ghosts on a Medium's Vacation. The other ones that you and I talked about was the Ghosts of England and the Ghosts of the Birdcage Theater in Tombstone, Arizona. And so everywhere I go on vacation, I go to enjoy the place I'm going, and my guard is kind of down, and that's why all of these ghosts are able to communicate with me. And I always take a journal with me on vacation, and I like to write about places I've been so that I always remember them. And as it turns out, that journal isn't just a travel journal; it's really a what dead people I meet journal. So that's what happened here.
It seems like no matter what you do, Rob, you and I have had conversations, so many times, and we've really bounced a lot of ideas off of each other. Rob was the one who made me put in my paranormal investigation bag the chocolate. I couldn't have been more happy to put anything in my paranormal investigation bag. And I spread the word everywhere I go now. I hand out chocolate. People go, no, thank you. No, and I'm like, this isn't for a treat. This is to lift your, if you can eat it, go, please have it, because it's worth its weight. Because explain that again. I know it sounds like it's minute, but it really is helping people.
It really does. So the person that introduced that is Margaret Ehrlich. She is the founder of Inspired Ghost Tracking. And she explained to me that chocolate raises your endorphin levels. And what that does is it creates positive energy in your body and in your mind. So whenever you go through a paranormal investigation, ghosts are negative emotional energy, and you need something to counter that. So chocolate is one way to do that. It's kind of like an internal purging of negative energy.
And every bit helps. So whether you're talking about, you carry salt in one pocket and lavender in the other, if you're going to put the white light around you, the bubble of white light energy around you, all of the things, all of the things. If
Mhm.
I love when people get in a group and everybody does their thing and puts it out there, and it's just good energy that goes around the circle, and you can almost feel it. And sometimes, you can almost see it. You know what I mean, Rob? You've been there. And all of these things are important. And the reason I'm bringing this up now is because what Rob said was very important. He's going on these vacations, and he knows as well as I do, that you're going to bump into stuff everywhere, grocery store, the drugstore, when you least expect it, turn in the corner and boom, there it is, walking on the street sometimes. But when you're on a vacation and you're thinking your itinerary, where are we going? What hotel? Where's the hotel? Can we get an Uber? Where's the rent a car? You've got all this stuff going on. You can't. It's not like you're walking into a building on an investigation and you're all prepped and ready to roll.
No.
You're trying to get through to the next step and still enjoy everything new, and it gets in. And it's not so much that you've let your guard completely down, it's that it's got some weaknesses, and your light is so bright that they see it. Is that describe it? Would you agree with that, Robs?
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Yeah. So you wonder, because the reason I'm saying that is because one would wonder, reading the books, or getting the books, or just hearing about them, how could that happen? Listen, we're human, folks. I don't care how, you get into this, there's rules, and it seems to be rules. We don't get the book that, we can't really do this for each other. So we reach out to each other, because, how are you getting this reading? Because I'm all emotionally involved in this, and everything is all mucked up. That's
Mhm.
that pretty much is a standard amongst, people with abilities. And also the fact that we forget sometimes to do the most basic things, and that's just keeping that around. But how are you enjoying yourself when you're just, think about it. It's not as easy as just saying it. It takes a real energy, especially if you're going to a place that has this kind of ingrained energy, Rob. The
Mhm.
stone remembers, the land remembers, the rock. You know what I mean? The rock remembers, the residual echoes in a place like this. How did that make you feel just walking in?
Yeah, there was a lot of residual energy in places. So, of course, I found that ruins are really the prime places for residual energy, because when the structure is destroyed, earthbound ghosts, I've found, tend to go to another nearby structure.
Hmm.
So there's no ghost there, but there's a lot of residual energy that you can pick up on.
Hmm. Hmm.
And
Hmm.
and when I went to Ireland, my trip brought me to places like Dublin, Galway, Limerick, the Dingle Peninsula on the North
Hmm.
Atlantic Ocean, to Cork, which we're going
Hmm.
to talk about,
Yes,
and
we are. Yeah.
to Cashel.
Hmm.
So, and all of these
Did
places
you
had,
see, not to interrupt you, but did you see
sure,
anything in the intro, some of the places that you went? I tried to get a couple of drone footage clips of like the Blarney Castle and things like that. Did you see any from a different point of view where you went and got to see it from an aerial like that?
I
Did
did.
it spark any memory? Okay, good, good. I was hoping it did, because I've listened to a few interviews that you've done on this, and tried to catch most of the book. And I said that's a thing too. When you see it again, it brings up things that you forgot, or that visual. It's almost like smell.
Hmm.
It brings up those memories that were locked or whatever. Because I just know this trip had to be amazing. How long were you there?
I think we were there about 7 or 8 days.
Oh, wow. So
So
you got a nice.
we went the entire circumference of Ireland.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
wow. Oh, that's I'm so jealous. This is going to be wonderful. Okay, so what I'd like to do is check and see now. Does anybody have any questions about what we talked to Rob about so far? And what I'm going to do is, he's got a great story about somebody that might be kind of special today. And I've got a little bit of B-roll to go with that to help you guys and give you a visual. We have a wonderful slideshow of Rob's personal pictures that he's got stories to talk about. And then we're going to visit a place. Did you get to learn how to pronounce the word, is it Celtic or Gaelic word for jail? Is it Goal? Goal?
GAOL.
GAOL. Okay.
Yeah, I just said jail.
Chicken. You big chicken.
Well,
Well, I think in the video I have, I think what it is the video I have is from the museum itself. It's a little, and that's coming up later on, so you have to wait. And the gentleman there is kind of a little tour guide. It's a little like buy tickets now and come and visit. So we're going to give them some free plug in there because I think if you had a good time, Rob, people should go. So we're going to do that for them. And first off, though, because we might be talking about some dark things and your light workers and everything, I'm going to give you a couple things to smile about, because when Rob's here, we always do something special, because near and dear to my heart are the souls and the smiles and the love and the eternal light that animals bring to us. So animals are something that I kind of use in a lot in the intros to lift your vibration. You can't help when you're around them. That's what that's their biggest job, their bestest job. That and the love and to show us unconditional love and everything like that. Animals are amazing. I always make Rob cry. Don't look at me because I'll cry. So I'm going to show a little bit, because animals can be Irish too. And just lift your spirits and smile along with us. I'm going to real quick grab some hot water. So if you don't see me, I'm still here. But this is for Rob and for you guys. And, happy St. Patrick's Day. I don't know much of the story. If Rob knows a little bit more of the story, or somebody in the chat does, please tell. I just know a little bit about snakes and the saint, and, it's nice. And there's green beer and there's this and that. And it's something to celebrate. And everybody feels a little Irish on this day. But again, so do the animals. Rob, are you good with this?
I'm good.
Okay, so yep, that's the right one. I just want to be sure I was going to show you the right one. We're going to hear a lot of some good Irish music tonight. I'm telling you right now. Here we go. So much fun. It's so much fun. Lord Connor approves. Boy, if that I couldn't leave. I was going to get some hot water. I couldn't leave. I had to watch the animals. There you go, Rob. Put a
That
smile
was
on your face.
awesome. I had no idea there were that many Irish dog breeds.
There was more, and there was more. I mean, there was the little ones with the beard. Oh, I forget what they're called. But there was more. I could have gone on forever, but I figured I'd throw the most popular out there. I guess if I missed some, please put it up in the chat. That'd be great. But are they not just beautiful?
They are. So no Irish cats?
Well, there's the Irish fold, I believe, or no, that's the Scottish fold. I don't know. Is there Irish cats? There's got to be. Let me know, chat. Let's see. Lord Connor approved. Yeah. One of our littlest gatekeepers, Rob, was just brought on board, and his name is Connor. He's a little German Shepherd, and he belongs to Ted Branson. He shares everything with us, and he's growing so fast, and he's just adorable. So that's our littlest gatekeeper at the moment.
That's
so
awesome.
Brand new, brought it. I know. So there you go. What would you like to start with? Would you like to talk a little bit about the St. Patrick himself?
Sure, we can talk about St. Patrick.
All right. So I've got a little thing. This is just a quiet one, and some visuals, I think, that goes with your story here. Yep.
Yeah.
Putting it up here. There you go. Go right ahead. Now you went. This is called. Where was this in your trip?
So that was in a county called Louth, and I may be mispronouncing it, but County Louth. It contains a famous ancient cemetery that has 3 high crosses that have become known as symbols of Ireland. The place is called Monaster Boyce, and it's one of the oldest religious sites in Ireland. There's a round tower, the one that you're showing right now. And those are fascinating. There are some round towers in Ireland that still stand. You'll see one at the Rock of Cashel. And what they used to do is they would, the religious folk, that the monks would take their records and they would put them in there, and they would jump in there, and the door was like 10 feet off the ground, and they would get in there by a ladder, and they would pull the ladder up so that the Vikings, who were known to attack and destroy, would not be able to get them in the round tower or destroy the records of the church.
Well, simple enough, but it worked.
It did. Yeah.
I mean, look at that. You can see why it worked. Because think about how they're going to get to them. I mean, you couldn't even really set that on fire, or what could you do to penetrate that fortress? If you think about it, if it didn't have the ladder, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, it's simple, but they did a lot of that. Something very fascinating is the defensives of the way they defended these castles. I mean, you pull up the moat, pull up the drawbridge, you've got the moat, you've got a lot of different ways to defend from afar down, dropping things down on people to keep them from coming in. It's just amazing. The catapults, then they've got the catapults to go over the walls. It's interesting to watch how it progressed, the fighting and the taking over. And that's one I'd never heard of until I heard you tell it about just pulling up the ladder.
Yeah, we learned that from our tour guide while we were there.
Yeah,
it was fascinating, and we also found that at the Rock of Cashel as well.
Well, I could imagine the only way you could do anything about it was to starve the people out on the inside.
Yeah.
If you had provisions and things like that, I mean, that's really the only way to just wait it out. And if you can't do that, they win.
Yeah.
That's just really, it's interesting thing to think about. Yeah. So go ahead. And I think this takes you to the cemetery with you said the 3 crosses?
Yeah, the 3 crosses there.
Okay. And what was what was going on with the crosses again? There was the significance and the meaning of that?
They're called 3 high crosses.
Gotcha.
They're, as I said, they're a symbol of Irish cultural heritage. Mm-hmm. And they were carved out of sandstone. And on the crosses, they depict biblical scenes from the Old and New Testaments.
It's incredible.
To serve as really lessons, like stone lessons for people. Because a lot of people couldn't read either. So they
Yeah,
were,
so like a pictorial instead to tell a story rather than just writing it all out.
yes,
It's amazing. Yeah. So in a way, almost like, I can't say the word now, hieroglyphics, like writing just pictures, or
hieroglyphics.
Native
Yeah,
American, yeah, or
yeah,
Native American pictures on a cave, or
yeah.
on a deer skin, tells a story without letters. It's amazing.
Hmm.
Yeah, just
So
carve it in.
the tie to this place, Monastery Boyce with St. Patrick, is that the monastery here was founded by someone named Saint Bute. He was a monk, and he was a follower of Saint Patrick. And what's weird about this story is that he is supposed to have raised the King of Scotland from the dead,
Mhm.
but
Wow.
nobody really knows if
Right.
that's true, or
Yeah.
Um, but this brings up something that I always tell people, is that I found that really cemeteries are not haunted. They're not haunted by earthbound ghosts.
It's odd,
But
odd, isn't it? Isn't it
yeah,
odd? It's so true, folks. It's not what you think. Of course, all cemeteries, your mileage may vary, but on the whole, right, Rob, not as haunted as you'd think. Go ahead. I'm
no,
sorry.
the only time that an entity from the afterlife will appear in a cemetery is a spirit, really. If you go to a grave, this is my experience. If you go to a grave and you are paying tribute to that spirit or professing love, your love is a powerful emotional energy that can call the spirit to that gravesite and give you a sign. Just like there was a military mother who lost her son in Iraq, and she went to his grave, and he loved dragonflies. And when she went to his grave, a ton of dragonflies suddenly appeared around his grave, just flying around his grave when she was there. And she was stunned because she immediately felt his presence there. And when she turned to leave, they all dissipated. They all went their own way.
Mhm,
So spirits can haunt graveyards, but only when a living person is there paying tribute to them.
mhm. It's
Um,
amazing, and it's like you said too. It's in battlefields is a little bit different, and of course, there's things there that hang out that are really feeding off the energy, all the different types of energy that are going on in that, where cemeteries are more like the people that they've left. They've had some kind of a tribute, usually a prayers, usually good energy sent with them,
mhm,
or whatever. You're looking at stones where people at a time, very expensive to put any kind of statuary or even just a granite stone. Most
mhm,
graves aren't marked, so
yeah.
really we're walking on, you know, I mean, let's face it, everything's a graveyard. I mean, how far back you want to go? You know what I mean? It's all around. It still amazes me to this day where people are. This is a new development. Nothing's ever happened here. It's a brand new house.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, please tell me we're not starting on literally square one here. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I mean, some people don't know, and it's a good point to bring up because we talk about this so much. It's almost like we forget that not everybody knows, or cares, or even thought to think about such things. In fact, some of them don't want to think about it because it scares them so much. And they don't
Mhm,
understand it. And I think that's always been a huge part of the stigma. It's not so much as just not understanding it. Nobody completely understands everything about it, but it's not wanting to know because I don't understand it and it scares me. It's the
mhm.
two different things, you know? So with this one, you sent me a picture and I was wondering if this was one of the crosses, Rob, or is it another? Is this a
Oh,
monument of something else?
oh
Is it
yeah,
too early for this one? Is it too early?
yeah,
Okay.
that's another haunting altogether.
Okay. Okay. Well, there's so many crosses and there's so much, so many graveyards. There's these wonderful Celtic uh cross. I just always liked the Celtic cross. I think it's beautiful, and to think that I just thought it was the design in there. You can tell if there's pictures, but in some of the drawing, and where it just looks almost like ivy or lattice work, there's
Mhm,
also stories in that too, very much like I said, Native American. You
Yeah,
know, we always find a way to tell the story, don't we, Rob?
we do.
So I have a couple of quick answers for you that you asked. I am getting, Derek is saying Mannix cat and I don't know how to pronounce this one, Krymic cat. And another one for Mannix, I believe. And this is Irish. Like I said, Scottish fold, but again, that's Scottish. It's close. But and Slow was also saying that I believe when we were talking about the tower, that they weren't fighters, they were monks. So I was getting that wrong, and I was thinking that it was, you know, somebody fighting for that, almost like trained soldiers, you know, like a fort would be. But this was more monks just trying to protect what they felt was sacred, which is even more intense. Well, yeah.
One of the quick things I want to mention is that
Go ahead.
the reason that I find that cemeteries aren't haunted is that people, when they decide to stay earthbound as a ghost, which is not a good idea, they tend to go to places that they knew in life, or they liked in life, or where they died, like prisons, hospitals, on the battlefield, things like that, or houses where they lived, or where they worked, or something like that. That, you know, we never, unless you live near a cemetery and you walk your dog there every day for 20, 30 years, every dog you have, you're not going to haunt the cemetery after you pass. You're going to go to another place that you're familiar with.
Makes perfect sense, you know, unless for some stuff, because you wouldn't think that ghosts would be attached to something like that. But I do know of a couple of cases that even and I think this one was more of a haunting out of disrespect, if you know what I mean. I think it's very possible that the ghost had the spirit of the person had long gone on, but somebody was an antique collector and collected what used to be called, I want to say, coffin markers.
Oh.
Back in the day when you had a brass plate that actually went on the wood coffin or whatever type of coffin it was, kind of a little bit more upper scale. And these were brass plates, almost look like belt buckles, that kind of shape. And it would have the name and everything on it. Why would people collect these? But there was a lady who had those, like going up her staircase on the wall. And then she also did what you would call charcoal rubbings on tombstones and frame those. You know, I don't know if you ever saw that done. And people had to go in there to find out where the disturbance was coming from. And it was one of those badges, let's just say, or those brass plates that was on a coffin. And the medium there, I didn't get to speak with them personally, but the medium there, I remember saying they weren't attached to it. It was the fact that you had it, was you were reading the name connected to the energy, and it ticked them off a little bit that you had that.
Oh yeah.
See, that's where I'm going.
Sure.
So it wasn't a haunting of or an attachment of until they made it a problem. So, you know, like don't start none, won't be none kind of thing.
Right. Yes, it does.
So there's that, and then there's of course the ones that might be confused, but it's not. It's not as prevalent as you guys would think. You know what I mean? As far as like, you know, I agree with Rob as far as that. There's a couple things that people walking through, but you know, also Rob, I found out something that people need to think about too. If you're catching a ghost that's going, and you get an apparition on film or something, most of them don't seem to be of the dead. It seems to be the living that were visiting the dead. Does that make sense? They're in front of reading and dressed kind of like they were going to visit rather than they were getting buried. Does it make sense?
Interesting. Yeah.
It's something to think about. You always have to leave the possibilities open because we might get the story wrong if we don't. We jump to conclusions.
Sure.
So is there any of your slides you're ready to show now, the pictures that you showed me, or do you want to go to, I forget what this one was.
I'll just do
you
one
want
more
to go to the jail, or would you like to, what would you like to do?
I just want to mention one more thing about St. Patrick.
Please do. Take it your way.
In the beginning, you showed some great footage of Trim Castle. And Trim Castle was one of actually the places that St. Patrick is known to have visited in 433 AD.
Okay.
And the story goes there. If you go to Trim Castle, there's nothing that really talks about it, but the history is that St. Patrick lit a bonfire during a pagan festival in defiance of the pagan king, and that was the famous St. Patrick appearance in that particular place.
Oh,
But
wow.
yeah, kind of weird, but it's St. Patrick, so yeah, I'm ready to go to jail.
You want to go to jail? Okay, let's do this. You're gonna watch me push buttons here now. Hang on, guys. The Hot Mess Express is about to start pushing buttons here. Let's see if we can do this screen share. Oh gosh, you never know what's gonna happen when I do this. Okay. I think this is it. I'm not sure which one it is. I have two short ones, so let's see what this one is first. Is that it? Does it look familiar to you?
It does.
I like this guy too. He's cheeky.
Hello there. I believe you wish to come and visit us here at Cork City Gaol.
I think this is the safest way to visit. Wow. I don't know, Rob.
I have to say, we're more accustomed to receiving visits from the more disreputable citizens of Cork City. So it'll be a nice change to have some more respectable visitors. Come and get an insight into what life was like in a 19th century prison.
Wow.
During your visit, you can explore the grounds, wander the corridors, and even get locked into a cell. You'll learn the stories of some of the prisoners and staff who resided here. Most only stayed for short durations, but learn how Mary MacDonald became a regular at Cork City Gaol with no less than 57 convictions. Or hear the amusing story of conman James Burns and how he nearly slipped arrest. And learn the fascinating tale of the demise of the Governor's Tunnel. And see for yourself a prison that Countess Markievicz called the most comfortable prison she'd ever been in. There is plenty to see, do, and learn about here at Cork City Gaol. We await your sentencing. I mean arrival.
Oh, I love that. Why not, right? Look at that place, guys. Cork City Gaol. And that is on their website. Free advertisement for them.
This is how a typical video editor works.
Wrong button.
That was a great video.
Yeah, right? I thought so. Interesting, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that fantastic?
Yeah, I had not seen that before.
Now, were you, did it take kind of like it was an all day kind of, it would seem like it would have to be an all day thing or even a more than one day.
No, it actually just took a couple of hours.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it was a big place, but you can't go everywhere because what they did was they would block off corridors of prison. So you're really just only in the main area.
Yeah.
So that's why I mean, if they let you walk through the entire place, it would be days, but they have things blocked off. So do you have well, we'll get to that in a minute.
Okay. Well, I have one more short one because this is the one that kind of kicked off a story that you have. Mm-hmm. And they actually, I think, unless there's more than one story that matches it, they actually touch on a little bit about the young boy. And the next one isn't as fun. It kind of gets a little bit more into think about this. This is, to me, this place is very similar to the Tower of London or, anytime you had a workhouse or, the things Dickens wrote about, the things that you shuddered when you thought about, people going to, like Madame Defarge and Tale of Two Cities and all of that. And Dr. Monet and everybody that's locked up in these prisons where people are thrown in, human beings, thrown in for very little, some of them hideous crimes and some of them stealing bread. And to be thrown into this thing. So I want you to think about that too, because Rob's going to tell us a little bit about some of the ghosts he bumped into, literally, at this place, right?
Yes.
When we go. So this is going to give you a little bit of visual, if I can push the right buttons again. Are you ready? Was there anything you want to say leading up to this, Rob?
I just want to let you know a little bit of history. It's a
Sure.
3-story brick structure. It's got bars all over the windows. It's got high walls to ensure that nobody could escape. It was built in 1824, and now it's called a listed building. That means that it's part of the Irish architectural heritage. So they can't do anything to it because they've turned it into a museum.
Wow.
And I will say that for anybody who's sensitive, if you visit there, there's the large wooden front door, and there's a really, really heavy energy attached to that door, as you can imagine, because I mean that's the door that prisoners were taken in and out, and
Oh, jeez.
right in the front of this prison, I learned by talking to a dead man that they had hung people. They had hung prisoners outside in the front, in the courtyard.
Out front in the courtyard, right there by that door. Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of energy passing back and to and fro through that entrance. I think entrances like that do, and doorways. We hear a lot of apparitions going through doorways or walking through a doorway yourself and walking into another energy. You imagine the amount of energy dispelled going in and out there. Just the very here I am again, or oh my God, what's going to happen to me now? Just going through that. And the energy, I think, of the people that worked there too, because they carried quite a bit, whether they were psychotic and sadists, or whether they were just trying to feed their families and trying not to be jaded, and just glad they weren't one of the on the other side, I guess. I don't know. There's a mixture. It's a lot of energy.
So I have to tell you, as soon as I walked through the entrance of that door, that big wooden door, suddenly I heard a lot of men shouting outside. And when Tom and I came in, there was nobody. there were nobody else pulling in the parking lot, so I didn't know what that was. And we went and looked outside again, and there was nobody there. So that's when I asked one of the people that worked there in the front office, why would there be voices outside? And they said, oh, that happens often because prisoners were hung outside of what's now the front entrance.
Oh, jeez. We tend to forget, you walk under trees, and the trees have been around a couple hundred years, and they're out there. Different things like that. The same thing as these buildings. I can't imagine. I've never been across the pond, so I don't know what it would be like to walk through one of these places with that amount of energy and the stone and as you've spoken on many of these, and in the Ghost of England as well, in that book, just the residual and the echoes of those times and that energy that's kicking around in there, whether it was evil or whether it was, emotion of fear from like a prisoner, or, like we're about to see. It's very powerful, guys. It's very powerful, and even the animals, we have Ted in the chat here that lives right off a road where he hears a coach and four go by. There's so much, of that energy into these places that it really takes a lot of time, if you're thinking about it on the paranormal investigation level, to really sort this. And I think that's where sensitives and people with abilities really come in, because it's so needed. And I'm so glad I feel moving past that time where we were trying to take all that out and just go in pure science. And you're a lover, you love science, and you're both. And that's why it was always so cool for you to come on, like, look, I have to look at both sides now, and try to sort it. And it's really neat. You really have a unique perspective in that way. And I think it's really cool. So let's take a look at this. Like I said, this is a little darker. It's a little bit of what they were just talking about. But like a lot of people were saying in the chat, you probably didn't think the prisoners were that happy, to be there. So here we go.
Welcome to Cork City Jail. one of Cork's top attractions.
Let's see if I can get it bigger.
When you arrive here, you either get a map, which tells you a little bit of information about each exhibition you're going to see, and you can also take an audio tour in 13 different languages. A lot of the prisoners that you will get to hear about on your visit are from the year 1865. There was some serious crimes, but mainly a lot about the problem of poverty. I mean, crimes for stealing loaves of bread. Edward O'Brien was a young boy who stole some brass ballcocks. But while Edward was here, Edward was whipped twice a week. It's a very emotional story. I mean, you get to meet some of the prisoners that spend some time here. The one thing that stands out is, remember us. We weren't famous. We were just ordinary people. So remember us.
Remember us. And whoops, let me get that stopped, guys. So there you go. Remember us. And I think, Rob, when I heard that, I said, I got to show that tonight, because here's the thing. Gives you a little bit more of a perspective. And when Rob walks through these entrances, these doorways, this is what he gets hit with. And sometimes they show him, or at least, or he feels their death state, or their, do you call it a death echo, or what is your word for it when they show you what they went through?
I just say pain of death.
Pain of death. There you go.
Yeah.
Same thing. So that's what, think about that when Rob's telling these stories, and that gives you a little bit more of a perspective. Please, Rob, tell us, what was your experience there?
So I encountered 8 ghosts, and the second encounter that I had was particularly unnerving for me. It was, I call him the beaten ghost in Drum Gallery. So the West Wing is called the Drum Gallery, and one of your videos actually took us into it. It's separated from the entryway by a really heavy wooden door. So ghosts will share their pain of death with me to help prove their identities. Not that I would know who they were if they lived 150 years ago in Ireland, necessarily, but that's usually one of the ways that they convey who they are. So when I walked into the Drum Gallery, and I was walking around, suddenly pain tore through my left shoulder. It felt like I was being hit from behind, and I heard the voice of a man, and he had an Irish brogue, and he told me that he was a prisoner there, which made perfect sense. And he said he was hit multiple times and beaten by a guard. And he said it made me feel like I was being hit by a large wooden plank, if you will. He said the beating split the back of my head, and I was left bleeding. And actually, as he was conveying that, I felt a warmth in the back of my head, like I felt blood oozing out of my head. So when I got my composure back, I asked why he was there, and he told me his name was Daniel, and then he said, "I'm here because I stole horses and sheep, really to feed his family." It became apparent to me that after that beating by that guard, and he was thrown in his cell, he died there. And when he awakened, he was confused as to where he was, and then he got stuck. I made a little video while I was there about Daniel, my experience. And the other thing, Cisco, is one thing that I haven't told your audience yet is that sometimes I will see them in my mind and I sketch them out. So I don't know if I sent you that picture or not of Daniel being beaten by a guard. Nope, that's another guy. But that's a sketch. That's one of the sketches I made. That was on the Dingle Peninsula, that gentleman. But it's okay. Anyway, so I sketched Daniel out. It was really, to me, it was incredibly tragic that here's a man who was, trying to help his family, and granted, he did something wrong by stealing a horse and sheep, but he did not deserve death for that, not at all. And And it was even more tragic that he couldn't go back to his family, and he got stuck here.
Mhm.
So he was just one of 8 that I encountered.
Look at the architecture in here, though. You know, there's an aerial view. It's a huge place. Now, you said you don't get to go through all of it. It was just certain parts, right?
Yeah, it was just certain
Uh-huh.
parts. So
Uh-huh.
the architect, by the way, is Sir Thomas Dean, an Irish architect. He designed all of this.
Wow.
Yeah. So one of the other things too about my book, which is kind of different from the other Ghosts on Mediums Vacation, is that while I was there, I filmed little 60 to 120-second videos explaining about what the ghosts were conveying to me and where I was and the surroundings. And in the book, The Ghosts of Ireland on a Medium's Vacation, is it right here? I have a special page that with a list of all the videos, and I also have the link to the videos in each chapter, so that as you're reading it, like if you're reading it on Kindle, you can just click on the video link and you can see my little live report.
That's so cool, folks. So again, at the back of the book, there are links. So when he's telling you something, he's going to give you the link to the link, or tell you where to get the link, and you can go and you can watch a video about the part you're reading in that book. That's so neat to have that extra visual. As you see, we enjoy having here. The visuals are so powerful. I love that idea, Rob.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I guess I had a lot of coffee that day, Cisco, and it came to me.
Yeah, that's I get some of my best ideas in coffee.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, but that's really something too, to go in there, and now this ghost is bumping into you. He sees your light for whatever reason. It gets your attention, knows that you can see him, whatever, and comes in and it shows you what he went through. And he was confused, and he decided to stay. And something I heard in another interview, you were also talking about not so much why they choose to stay, because we know that can be multiple reasons, usually fear of what's over there. I don't want this, I don't want that, whatever that may be. That's the biggie. And then it's, I don't want to see this person, or they're caught in their own, I'm not leaving till I make sure this person's okay, or the kids are okay, or
Mhm.
that person pays for what they did to me, or whatever those reasons may be. But something interesting I'd love for you to touch on before we move on is why they get stuck over time. Please
Sure.
talk about that. Please talk on that.
Yeah, that's actually something that I really came up with this year when I
I
was
love it.
thinking about energy. So as we talked about, ghosts, earthbound ghosts, and spirits who crossed over are energy coupled with memories, personality, and knowledge. And what happens after our physical body dies is that those things couple with the energy within us. And then we choose to be earthbound as a ghost, or we cross over as a spirit. Now, the reason I'm able to figure why a ghost gets stuck is that when our body first passes, we have a tremendous amount of energy. And over time, just like a battery, that energy wears down. But it takes a tremendous amount of energy to open that doorway to the other side. So the longer a ghost stays, the less energy they have and the less ability they have to open a doorway and cross over. So that's my reason.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I really like that. And it's true. Now, I believe, and I'd like to add to that,
Mhm.
that I think it goes well with, is that's when you start seeing a lot of, because they're starting to get, I have to get more energy. So they realize they can get it from a light bulb, or from batteries, or from you, or from fear, or from something like that. And they realize they got to recharge.
Mhm.
And in this state of mind, think about it. You don't know what state of mind they were in to begin with. Now they're confused. They might have been in an accident, or don't realize what happened, or in Rob's first ghost situation, beaten and then left for dead.
Mhm.
So you wake up and you're confused. I'm here, but nobody sees me anymore. What's going on? You're panicking.
Yep.
And it's it's almost like a glitchy kind of panic if you think about it. Because, all right, I go over here. All right, wait a minute. That helped. How long does this last? It's wearing off, and now you're in this dungeony type place that nobody goes to in these old abandoned homes or buildings, factories, whatever. It's a different deal than a place like you're going, Rob, where they're getting, it seems like, energy all the time, not just off of the constant visits and tours and questions and being talked about and things like that. I think it's a different kind of experience for that ghost, rather than somebody's rattling around in an abandoned cabin in the middle of nowhere. It's a different, and I would imagine I don't want to say dissolving of energy, but the way that's breaking down and what they're grasping onto. If you think about how the brain works, and a lot of times it's only what you exercise will keep going. If that wasn't true, you wouldn't be doing brain quest and crosswords and trivias and stuff like that to keep your brain flowing. So if you think about it, ghosts just like us, the only thing that's going to get strong is what they're focusing on.
Mm-hmm.
So if all it is to scare the little girl that goes down the hall, zip, get my daily zap and move on, that's going to psychologically change a person, at least degrade the little bits of humanity that they have left. We don't know what they're stuck with. This is why I say communication with ghosts and helping ghosts is more like therapy than anything else. Do you agree?
Yeah,
I know that was all over the place, but you see what I'm saying?
No, I understand. Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah, it's more, and it's a little bit more than going in for a few minutes and going, okay, Jack, it's fine, Jack can stay here. He's not going to harm it. How do you know? You don't know until you know a little bit more about Jack, and Jack might be fine now, but what about the next family? What if there's something about that family or that person or their energy that, turns Jack into not such a dull boy? You know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah,
we have to remember that ghosts they were people or animals, and they still have their same personality. If they're a person, they may not get along with you as a living person. Not everybody gets along, sadly, but that's the way it is.
So true. There's so many aspects to it, and that's why we're always saying, look, there's more to it. Look at this. There's more. Even the picture is even brighter and more complex and more interesting and multi-layered than you would imagine just on the surface. It's more than just boo, it's more than just boo. So I'll tell you what, my friend, please tell the next story. I'm going to run and get some hot water. Just take me a minute. Take over, tell whatever stories, the next ghost that you met or whatever. And when I come back, I've even got a little bit of video on the poison garden.
Okay. Well, I think I'm going to talk about the cover of the book and the photo of the man.
Here we go.
Captured.
That one there.
Yeah, you can leave that up.
And I love the green. I got a theory. So listen to Rob. I'll shut up. Go, baby.
Okay, go ahead. Go get your tea. All right. So this was my 6th encounter in the Cork City Jail, and it's rare, first of all, to catch a ghost on camera. But that's what happened when I reached the northern corridor, which is on the 2nd floor of the northern corridor of this jail. If you plan to go to Ireland and you really are into haunted places, I really recommend going to the Cork City Jail. And it's in Cork County, by the way. So when I got up to the northern corridor, there were a number of corridors that, as I mentioned with Cisco, that they were closed off. The northern corridor was lined with jail cells on each side, and there were some hallways between the cells, and they went way, way back. And I couldn't see the end of the corridor because it was dark. So as I was walking by one of those corridors, I sensed that there was a man around me, a ghost, and I turned to look down a corridor, and I figured, okay, if there's a ghost there, I can't see him right now, but I'm going to start taking pictures. And that corridor was sealed off. It was sealed off with bars. So I put the camera between the bars, and I took 3 pictures in a row. And in the 3rd picture, from what appeared to be a black corridor was a green figure of a man. And that is the cover of my book. What's interesting is that while I was taking the picture, I couldn't see the green figure of the man, but it showed up on the camera. It was really surprising, as you can imagine. I also didn't hear any noises coming from the ghost, and the ghost didn't even interact with me. They didn't even tell me his name, didn't tell me why he was there, nothing, absolutely nothing. It seemed to me that he just wanted to ignore me and go about his business, and that he was likely a prisoner who died there, and he just keeps wandering around looking for an exit. I will tell you, though, that there are so many other ghosts. There was a hanging ghost. There's even a ghost in the outbuilding. Now, in the back of the prison, there was a hospital, and as I mentioned before, people die in hospitals, and they get stuck there because they wake up and they decide they don't know where they are, and they linger too long. So in the outbuilding, even in the outbuilding, there is a ghost, and when we walked back there, this ghost suddenly, my husband smelled something that was like sickly sweet and couldn't identify what it was, but ghosts will use a scent also to identify themselves. Right after he said that, I suddenly heard the name McGee being yelled from inside the building, the outbuilding in the back. So, like
my Mr. Dickens McGee.
Oh, yeah.
When you first said it, that's who I thought of.
Well, there you go. So
yeah, yep.
even in the back, the outbuilding in the back of the jail was a ghost. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So I got a couple of quick questions I want to throw. I don't want to miss them. First of all, they're saying you make Millie says you make Millie says you're making perfect sense. Vixen Doe is asking, quartz crystal is an energy source. Would carrying those help a spirit that wants to communicate, gather the necessary strength? I think it helps. Rob, what do you think?
Yeah, I think it helps, but I found when I go on paranormal investigations, I really need the physical combined energies of like at least 3 to 5 people, because it takes that much energy.
So agree. Especially if you're going to try to do any crossing over to gather that light, because something Rob said earlier about connecting into that. And again, I find that so many forget. Okay, Rob, let me try to explain it this way to you, and you tell me if you agree. I find that so many of them are caught in that moment, not so much their death state where they're stuck in a loop, but more of a feeling and a presence of that time in that moment. So say dying in battle, you were fighting, brothers were hurt, the horrific things you saw and did.
Yeah.
And you're in that moment, that energy, and you're in that group of people, whether you know it or not, in that ball of combined energy. It's very hard for you to remember what a hug felt like.
Yeah.
So I think that's one of the things that combined energy of human beings gathering for that purpose, all with that intent, wanting to create that feeling like this is what it felt like. Remember this is love. This is human caring. This is something you haven't seen for centuries, maybe, in some cases, or a year, yesterday. I think it's the same in that case. And I think your theory about people combining, 3 to 5 people and having that combined intent focused, very powerful.
Yeah, I really think it's needed. I just saw a question from Daniel in the chat about setting up a bunch of generators.
Yeah.
Well, it could.
There have been things used, where you have that, where it gives off EMF, that energy. The Hoover House has with Jim and Dave and the gang, they've used to put that out. And Jim says he feels much better and not as drained after. So there's something there of offering the energy. Here, use this, in several different forms. Several things have been used. I'm not 100% on the gadget that they use, but
Can you remove the graphic and put your beautiful face back online?
Oh, sure. You did tell the story about your picture, right, and why it was green?
I did. Yeah, I did.
Okay, that's amazing because I have gotten pictures with colors, and mine usually come out in a hot pink, something like that. It's usually accommodating and love feeling. Did you ever look up the what the green meant?
No, I'm a colorblind person, so I
Understand, but it's an energy that I'm discovering that energies have colors, distinct colors, and it's global anger. What would you say? Red. So you're
Sure.
getting a lot of the anger, red eyes or red energy. Mine would several ghosts I've seen had that light, not red eyes, but a light.
It's like an aura, right?
Around. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And so the green, I think that was when I first saw your cover. I immediately thought about that's a combined. That's not one spirit. That was a combined. Must have been pulling off of your energy and the combination of it, where they were getting that kindness. They weren't completely calm like in the pink to hot pink, but more of that green mist where it's more of a what's going on here kind of. This is kind of cool. What's going on here? What's this about? Almost like a inquisitive, but friendly. Definitely not an angry or a dark or which is saying something in a prison. I think that's a message there for you. Of your light being seen. You're part of whoever's taking the picture is part of it too.
Okay, that makes sense.
I mean, you were drawing pretty good energy. You're not getting the black mist, the dark menacing, or which you would think the prison. That's all that's there. You would think.
I think he's a prisoner, and he was just lost and continued to look for an exit, and that was my impression of him. But
of that
entity,
entity. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Cool beans. So where are we going next? Are you still in the jail, or are we moving to another spot?
Oh no, we can move to another spot. But one other thing I wanted to tell Daniel about setting up generators is that not only is energy important, but we as mediums and paranormal investigators also need to be kind of marketing crossing over. We have to convince somebody who may be stubborn that crossing over is the best way for them to find peace. So, the energy is one part, but the other part is selling it.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, how did you feel, some of these places walking through, and not even the ghosts, but the ghosts of the people that walked there before, hearing the stories of, the nobility or the way that the people lived, or, it just seems like such a rich history, but a constant battle, a constant fight, a constant you know what I mean, and that land, and it's so rocky, it just must be resonating with energy.
Yeah it is. I mean, you think of the druids that were there too. I mean, there's so much energy there. And speaking of energy, I think that you had talked about the witch's garden.
Oh, do you want to see?
Did you say that you have some video or something?
I do. You talked about this, and I was so interested. I had no idea about it, and I heard you speak on it, and you were talking to Mike.
Yes.
Yeah, I love him. And you were talking to him, and he had been there as well, I believe. He had gone the trip there, and he knew a little bit about of course, some of the places you had been.
Mike,
very interesting. Yeah. Oh,
for
wonderful.
Anybody who doesn't know him.
Yeah, and if you go over there, if you're into the paranormal and you're not subbed to Mike's channel, please do get over there. Mods, throw that link down if you could go pick it up. It's say his last name again. I always get it wrong.
Rick Secker. Yep. Very Rabbit Hole or Haunted Road Media, either one.
There you go.
That's where he is.
Thank you. Also very deep into publishing a lot of the books you've read and bringing forth a lot of the authors that you may never have heard of if it wasn't for that channel. So if you support that, I suggest you get over there and subscribe to that channel and get some good paranormal content. All right, so let's see if I can pull this up. So I looked and I got very similar to the last video, a little tour by the garden itself. Now, tell us a little bit about where is the garden located? What's it a part of?
It is a part of Blarney Castle. And you know, everybody knows Blarney Castle because of the Blarney Stone.
Do you know the legend of that? Do you know the legend of the Blarney Stone? Can you tell it?
Sure. So, by the way, the Blarney Stone, there's kind of a mislegend about the Blarney Stone. It's supposed. I always thought that if you kiss the Blarney Stone, you'd have good luck, but that is not what you're supposed to get. You're supposed to get the gift of gab, actually.
Oh Lord, I don't need to be anywhere near that darn thing.
So that's what Tom said to me. He said, "You're not kissing that thing."
You never get anywhere near it.
He said, "You won't shut up as it is, right?"
That's so funny. That's funny.
So I do know the history of the stone. The Blarney Stone was a stone. It was set in the tower in the castle, a tower way up the top. Way back in 1446. How they get it up there, I have no idea, because I still can't figure out how they built these castles.
Wow.
But it's limestone, and it's supposed to give people the gift of gab. Whatever the case, when you go up to the top, and I will tell you that if you are physically challenged in mobility, it's really hard, because the castle is in ruins, number one. And number two, they are spiral staircases, and they are very narrow, and the stairs are stone and they're worn down. So they're kind of slippery. So never wear flip-flops, always wear sneakers.
Yeah.
You know, and you have to be very, very careful. And what I found kind of alarming was that there was a bus of senior citizens that was dropped off just after we arrived there. And I thought, oh my gosh, these poor people, they're never going to be able to get up there.
And see, that's something you should know before. And I want to just tap the break there just for a second, pull over and tell you that this is not just ghost stories, or this isn't just a medium's trip to Ireland. It's also like a paranormal guide if you want to go through and you want to use it as a guide to go through that way, but it's also a travel guide too, and to go through. And that's why he's mentioning these things. And also you have something interesting in there I thought was neat, was the weather. And be prepared ahead. I think that's awesome. Tell about that, just a minute about it.
So at the very end of the book, I think it's chapter 35, I decided to write a chapter about weather and my tips to visit Ireland. So I talk about Ireland's climate in the summertime, in the wintertime, in the spring and fall. I will also give you tips for visiting, like driving, getting a small car, getting a GPS unit, even though you have GPS on your phone, because your phone GPS will not always work. I also tell you about speed limit signs and measurements, that speed limits, speed limits are in kilometers per hour, not in miles per hour.
Wow.
And if you are a coffee drinker, drink tea.
I think you hit your mute. Did you hit your mute?
I did, because I had to clear my throat. And
okay. I'm sorry. I thought you did it by accident.
Yeah.
So that's really neat. And that's something extra in the book. I just love that, because if you're going on a trip, you might as well get everything you can out of it. Knowledge is power. So I love that you did that, Rob.
Thank you.
So this is, the Poison Garden is in
it's around
Blarney Castle.
Yeah.
Okay. And why was it, what started this?
I'm not sure exactly when it started. So there are a couple of things about the garden. The garden area that surrounds the castle is about 60 acres long. And there are some weird things. There are some weird gardens in there. There's the poison garden. There's a water garden. There's a boardwalk. There's another place called the carnivorous courtyard, where they actually have carnivorous eating plants that carnivorous plants that trap insects.
Like a Venus flytrap, or some of those, like feed me Seymour, like one of those.
Yes.
Okay, let's see if this is about, I think it says 59 seconds. I think it's really short, but the guy said he gets a lot of info in it. At least gives you an idea of what it looks like here.
Cool.
So let's see what we got. Uh-oh. What's this? Hold on 1 second. Go back.
I don't think it's that one.
I don't think it's that one. Okay, we don't have heart liver stuff. Hold on.
And while you're looking, I
Go
thought
ahead,
that
hon.
Blarney Castle is not haunted. But there's a lot of residual energy. They have what's called a murder hole, which is a hole over the entrance to the castle, where soldiers who were defending it would dump hot oil, boiling oil, and hot sand and hot tar and so forth. So upon the heads of people who were trying to invade the castle. So there's a lot of anxiety when you go into these areas where these murder holes are, where those defending the castle were dumping all of this stuff, killing people left and right. So it was kind of very uncomfortable to be in there. And of course, I also made a short video so people can see what I'm talking about. Right now, it used to be an exposed hole, but now there's a grate over it, fortunately, so that people don't fall through it.
Fall through it. Okay.
Yeah.
I think this was it right here. No, that's not it. Here she goes. All right. Now let's see. It's loading.
Okay. So once again, there were no ghosts there because the castle's in ruins, and they went to the next nearest.
And they would do that because they're going to go where there's energy to live off of. I mean, you know, when it's just gone, they don't even have the structure anymore.
So I'd like to talk to that point with the Rock of Cashel, if we can get to that.
Okay.
So,
let me run this real quick while I got it, and then we'll do just that. If this is it, we don't get some crazy commercial. Oh gosh.
Like that one?
Like that one. Why are they doing this to me?
I don't know. Sometimes you have to sit through the commercial for about 5 seconds or 10 seconds.
Let's see if I can get it to play through. Let me see if I can get it.
Okay.
Maybe. If anybody has male pattern baldness.
Right, there you go. There's also a witch's stone, by the way, in the witch's garden. And the rumor is that a witch was trapped in stone in there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, this might be it.
There's a witch in
Here
garden.
we go.
Excellent.
Maybe. We're going to get some sound on this. Come on. Give it to me. Come on. Come on. Give it to me.
Kills most is
It's being very fussy.
I know, right?
Most of the hallucinogenics are part of the nightshade family.
Oh, come on, dude.
We also grow cannabis under license from the Home Office, caps under license from the Home Office, and it's so we can do it.
It does not want to play, kiddo.
So the one that kills most is tobacco, millions every year from smoking diseases. But the one that most people would class as like the most poisonous is the castor bean plant. That's where you get ricin from. We grow enough ricin in one cage in 1 year to kill about 8,000 people. But the root
ricin
was used in the First World War to kind of expand people's diet. So you can eat the stalks. Stalks are fine, but the leaves contain oxalic acid. But the government thought it was okay to eat them if you cook them first. It turns out that's not the case. It stops the damage in your mouth that you initially get from the raw leaves. If you cook it like it's cabbage, it'll go down nice and smooth. But when it gets to your stomach, cooked or raw, it's going to pull any free calcium from your body, deposit that in your kidneys as kidney stones, and it killed at least 13 people during the First World War.
Wow. Okay, well, we got a little piece of it anyway. That gives you guys an idea of what this looks like. So it very intense gait, and the uniforms are kind of cool. They look like pirate uniforms. So there you go. That's the Jolly Roger on it for poison. So tell us about that.
Well, that was pretty horrific garden. I to be honest with you, I didn't spend much time other than walking past it because it was all the different things that people use for poisons. So that kind of creeps me out.
And there's also stuff that just like really poisonous stuff, like you could rub on is, to burn your skin so bad you'd need, hospitalization, or, just so many different things. And it's amazing to me that somebody would have all that in one spot. But I guess you have haunted object museums, you have, museums that enshrine places where whole families were killed, or go and visit the place where everybody was hacked to death. That sounds like, and buy a keychain. That,
yeah, no thanks.
Same, but it's the same type of thing, just depending on how it's sold. You know what I mean?
True. Actually, locally here, just last month, I went to a lecture about the Lizzie Borden house by a historian. So, I mean, it was interesting in a twisted way, but yeah, so I get it.
And still going. And I don't imagine, I did a huge, I think it was 5 episodes. So you're at least 2 hours a piece. That's a lot. 10 hours is a long time to spend on Lizzie Borden, but what a case. What a case.
Yeah.
And to go through all that and just pull it apart, and so interesting to go into documents or literature or letters or conversations, interviews that have come out since. When you have something like that so far away, and you can look back and go, wow, that one piece of evidence, this or that, very interesting. But I don't, to be a medium, to go in there, there's places in Gettysburg I have to walk across the street. I can't even walk near a certain building.
Yeah, me too.
Same, because you just feel it. Why push it? It's like everything in my body is telling me don't go anywhere near it. Why at this point would I fight that? We got to listen to our own radar and our own stuff too, but to walk through some of this, like when you come out with a book and I'm like, oh gosh, you went to England. I can't imagine what he went through. And then the next one, and I'm like, he's still doing it. You're so brave just to go into these places. But it is interesting. The Birdcage Theater and Tombstone and all of those, so interesting. And you have such wonderful, we won't talk about that one tonight because that's going to be a whole nother show. I want to have you on every book we haven't touched on. I want to get you back so we can talk. There's so much information in here. And I love too that as you write them, you're discovering new things. Your consciousness is changing. Your head, and now you have a lot of time to really spend on it. I love the videos that you're putting out and the connected videos. Like I have the book and here's a couple of videos that go with it. Love that, because it's also a companion. Most of the people here that are listening and looking at these videos, they want to learn the next step. We know ghosts exist. We're past trying to prove it. We're like, that's so like, decades ago for us, so we're here and we just love this. This is like a buffet of information for us, and is there anything in the whole Ireland, whether it was a famous place or not, what was that experience that you just went, wow, I just learned something, this really showed me something, or changed a thought, or made you think deeper on something? What was that experience? Because I know there was at least one. Was it the little boy? Was it the little boy in the prison that went back, and that energy was just so, they ruined the human beings there,
Yeah. So going back to the jail there. There was that young guy, that young kid that grew up and turned to religion, and then once he turned to religion, then he became extremely evil.
Mm-hmm.
And then when he died, because he became religious, and then he continued to commit all of these horrible things, he just decided to go sit back in the prison for the rest of his afterlife.
Wow. I just like almost put himself in a, in a bad place. I often say, like, they build boxes or cages for themselves in some ways.
Do. Yeah.
In some ways,
One of the other surprising things that I learned is something that I also learned when I was in England, and that is that spirits of our loved ones can visit us anywhere when we're on vacation. Mm-hmm. And so cool. When I was in Ireland, my dog Sprite, who passed in 2013, made an appearance.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. That's very cool. Now, do you think that was because when you felt that, when you saw that and you had the experience, what was your first, why was he choosing then? Was it to boost, to just, hey, he's having a happy time, I just want to let him know I'm here and I'm seeing that you're having a good relaxing time and you're getting to do something that you've always wanted to do and be here? Or was it something else like, hey, look over here, pay attention to this, or some kind of support, or both?
So when we were on vacation, we had a friend taking care of our dogs, and for some reason, we were walking the town of Dingle on the Dingle Peninsula, and I was talking about our dogs, and to my husband, and then I started talking about Sprite, and Sprite had passed years before, and I don't know why I was talking about Sprite, but I do know why I was talking about Sprite, because he wanted to let me know he was around. And in my Pets in the Afterlife 1 book, I mentioned that Sprite's sign to us was a yellow and black butterfly. And what happened was, right after I talked about Sprite, we went into this jewelry store. I think it was called the Dolphin or something. It was something that was totally not related to anything. Yeah, it was called a Dolphin store, and it had jewelry inside. So, Tom wanted to look. I'm like, okay, sure. So right as we went in, Cisco, there was a small ceramic yellow and black butterfly. That's Sprite sign, and it would not have been a sign had I not been thinking of Sprite before or talking about it. But there was. Yeah,
that's a validation, and it happens again. Rob and I, if you've listened to a lot of our conversations over time, if you're new here, I'll explain real quick. Rob has a very tight connection with Sprite, one of his spirit guides now. And his, like he just said, his sign that he's gotten used to is this yellow and black butterfly. My mother's is the monarch, the orange and black. And I know exactly what he's talking about, because I'll be sitting there. Literally, I sat on a bench one time, and it was, I want to say it was March. It was early March. It was one of those times where Easter was really early, and like this year, but a little bit earlier. And I'm sitting there. It's so cold on the ocean on the East Coast. Okay, wow. Everybody had to wear coats and one of those chilly Easters on the boardwalk. Let's just say that. And I'm sitting on the bench. There are no flowers. Even houses that have gardens are, quite a bit still inland. You got to pass the boardwalk and the road, and then you got restaurants and things like that. And of course there's flowers, but it's March in Jersey. Not a lot of flowers popping off, at this time. The hyacinths and the early daffodils and things aren't even out yet. And I'm sitting there talking about something that's very profound in my life and having a conversation. And I look out, and I literally just looked out to the ocean. I put out telepathically, I could really use some help here, Mom. Rob knows his story. I've told him 100 times. And all of a sudden, this monarch butterfly, not only with the temperature of what it was, being in Jersey, early March, no flowers, comes in against the wind. Yeah. Against the wind's comes in and just does a perfect landing on the pole that's right in front of me, the railing for the beach, and lands there for just a minute and just does this little flutter like this. And I'm like, okay, I get it. Thank you. And off it goes. And I got the answer to my question. Is that going to happen all the time? No, and I would never take it for granted, but it's happened more than once. And it's happened more than once to Rob. And that's why when we get together to give you guys hope and tell your, friends who need hope or need to know that, more goes on. And absolutely, without a doubt, there's more to this, and love is eternal. We tell you these stories over and over so you can be open to it, because once you're open to it, your angels and spirit guides can give you messages much easier. And I wondered if you would touch on that, Rob, just thoughts on the top of your head, that how we do this, but it's only the more you exercise it, whatever that ability may be, or whatever connection, the more you exercise it, the stronger that gets. And I wonder if you could give us your perspective on that.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, it's well said. The more you do it, the better you become at it. And I always tell people that you really have to just trust your feelings. That's the bottom line. Just trust your feelings.
Your intuition, and that first one. Don't talk yourself out of it. You know, that very first one, I believe, is the one. I say it to people all the time. They try to talk themselves out. At first of all, people are funny human beings. Boy, I'll tell you what, we are some funny creatures, because we'll ask for a sign or we'll talk about a loved one, just like Rob was saying, as far as Sprite coming to visit, dad, mom, granny, whatever, and they give us a sign, and then we go, oh, a song plays out of nowhere that was their song. You walk into a place and you hear this, or you turn on the radio, or it's a penny with the, you know, their birth date or the day they passed. Rob's touched on this many times, and I'm giving this to you because times are tough. Everybody is struggling. Everybody's searching for, you know, that light, and sometimes it's hard to keep your light on. Knowing these things is so much power. Knowing that you have this light inside of you, knowing that all of this, we can do these things, because it does come from us, but it also comes from that wee small light that we just work on and get, and let it grow with our free will and our choice to do these things and to help other people keep their lights on. And I think that's why we're here, you know, to help each other. You know, you mind taking a few quick questions from the chat before we go, and we'll get you out of here. Before we do that, I'd love you to Amazon for the books. Amazon for your books, right? You want them to go there and not your website? Oh, I'm sorry. I just want everybody to know where they can get your books, sweetie. It's Amazon.
Yeah, they're all on Amazon. Just type in Gutro, you can find me. And I'm happy to say that most of them now are available also as an audiobook. So if you want to hear them that way, you can.
That's great.
I'm working on 4 other ones, 4 of the older ones, but yeah. So, and there are a couple of other quick things that if we can get to them, that'd be great.
Whatever you want to do.
Weather energy and how it erodes. How weather erodes energy, but I'll be happy to take questions first.
Whatever you do, why don't you start that, and I'll look. Yeah, you were telling Daniel about Gettysburg is a challenging place to visit if you're sensitive, intense grief, anxiety, fear, and earthbound ghosts murdered on the battlefield. Absolutely, and I'd also like to add, there's many entities there that I can attest to, that are more negative in nature, whether it be used to be human or never were, and they also get, it's like an energy buffet for them, and they don't want you to help these, so you have some resistance there, and in some cases battle, because it really does get that intense. And I think that's on just about any battlefield, but for some reason the intensity at Gettysburg, Fredericksburg, and others, Antietam, same for me, but Gettysburg, I just think there's some weird, we've talked about this before, but I think our soul remembers certain things, and I know I've been a warrior in other lives, been told, gone regression and stuff, always a soldier, and it's just, so I just think I was there, or had something to do with it, maybe in the towns, or maybe some connection in a family member, or some kind of, you know, it's something going on there. I'd love to investigate and look deeper into it, because I think some of us are drawn. Have you ever took a vacation and felt, gosh, this is so familiar?
Oh, that was Tombstone. Yeah.
Was it really?
I actually wrote about that in the Birdcage Theater book. I actually had a past life
tell us a little bit about that, and I'm going to try to catch some of these questions. I'd hate to miss one, you know, when somebody put up here. So you go ahead and tell us. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
So I'll tell you a bit about a couple of other quick things. One is my husband Tom had a past life experience when we went to Ireland, and that's in the book, because he had gone into a past life regressionist, and because he's drawn to the Tudor era period, the 1500s. We went to the Dingle Peninsula, and in a museum they had reconstructed a home from that period. They reconstructed the outside and the inside of the home, and he was stunned, because it was exactly the colors and the structure and the composure of the house that he described living in back in the 1500s. He was stunned. So, and there's more about that in the book. Another thing I wanted to touch about was how this is the scientific part, that weather actually does expose residual energy. If residual, we talked about residual energy as an imprint of emotional experience impressed upon the walls of a structure.
Yes.
But if you think about weather's energy is constant exposure to rain and winds and so forth, and it erodes energy, emotional energy, just like it erodes the land.
Oh,
So think
okay.
about that. So that's
Yes.
why ghosts are not out in the open generally. But even the ghosts in Gettysburg, they take shelter in the
They
trees, in
do.
the forest.
They do. They do.
And
I
they,
can attest to that.
yeah.
Into
And
the wood line, into the trees, into structures, all of that. Yes, that's very true. Interesting,
so
right?
you learn a lot of science in my book, as well as history of the different places, the ghosts that I met. You'll see sketches, you'll see links, you'll have links to little
The
on the
videos.
scene reporting. So there's
Mhm.
all kinds of things for you, and this would be a
Yeah.
really inspirational thing to take to take a tour.
Hey, Gray, well, terrific. And if you are, and if, listen, if you can't take a tour, this is a way to tour Ireland. Look, you get a couple of videos. Look at Rob's videos. Then maybe go find some stuff like I did. Like, go get you some, watch you some of these wonderful drone, footage, uh, pictures of coming in and seeing the whole place. Imagine being there back in the day. As we go out tonight, I'm going to replay for all the new people that came in on the back end of it, the Irish video that I made, because I want you to understand, whoever you are out there, you have a culture, you have a bloodline, you have a family line. If you've never watched Who Do You Think You Are, or watched some of these genealogy shows, or tried to look up your own bloodline, you are here because of the people who went before you that marked the trail in their footsteps. If they didn't get through whatever they went through up to the point where you came in, you wouldn't be here. So if you're, if somebody that endured so much, a story of a lady that was in Ireland, this young man went and looked up his great grandmother, and he had been told all his life that her and her husband ran the workhouse there, just outside of London. This was in London. And he goes and looks it up. If I said no, the lady who was helping him through it said, the story, and said no, but she was in it a lot, and this is why. And she had 10 children, and she lost her husband, and she powered through this. And the reason she powered through this is why you're here. You come from this stock. And I want people to understand what I believe too, is that think of all the other past lives and what you've accrued out of those past lives, and what your genetic memory is picking up in times where you need it, and your spirit guides know you need it, and they tell you to tap into that, and you get those memories. I think a lot of us are getting those now, and I think that's because when you have this kind of energy going off, it's like Rob's saying, it's like the weather. But think about that. We've got it on the opposite end too, because when thunderstorms come, when the rain comes, it also gives the ghosts a little more energy to appear and to do things. So it works on both sides, the weather there, I think. What do you think, Rob?
Yeah, there's so much energy in nature. Anything that earthbound ghosts can use, or spirits who have crossed over can use, they will, in order to give us a sign.
There it is. So I can't tell you, my friend, how lovely this has been. But if you've got a question for Rob, make sure you get it in now, because we're about to shut down, and I don't want to miss any of your questions. If I missed any, please just repeat it. That would be my fault on my end. Please put it. Thank you so much. We've got, it's down the rabbit hole, isn't it, Mike's channel? Is it into the rabbit hole or down the rabbit hole?
Edge of the rabbit hole.
Edge of the rabbit hole. Oh, so close.
Yes.
It's so hard to remember some, but kudos to Mike. I love it. He always does a good stuff out there. Rob also has a lovely conversation about this. If you haven't gotten enough Irish on your platter tonight, please go over there and watch that, and subscribe. Subscribe to Rob's channel. I'd love to get you on with some of your team too, Rob. Some of the stuff that you guys have done, I think you've come up with some great evidence and some wonderful stories and backstories of some of the ghosts. I'd definitely love to get you on for Tombstone. We've never done the Tombstone, and I'd be kind of saving it, and I would love to have you back on. Will you come back on and do that?
Oh, sure. Oh, it'd be my pleasure. Do I have to
bet
grow
you I
my
can come up with a
Wyatt
video.
mustache again?
Say again, honey.
I said, do I have to grow my Wyatt Earp mustache again?
That's up to you. Totally optional. Depends on your general mood, if you know. But you don't want to come up with a video. We'll get lots of videos on that one. But there's been so much that's happened there, and we also have some other friends that have been there. Dan Baldwin picked up a Chinese cook that came in, had a wonderful story, a little bit about his reincarnation and coming back, and telling him a whole story and conversation about choices there, and how he felt very much like your monk that you met. Do you remember that one in England, where he felt like it was a self I don't want to say punishment, but I guess that you would call it something like that, induced, self-induced. He had done wrong, wasn't too happy with what he had done. Very similar to that with the Chinese cook and Dan Baldwin. So there's a lot going on in Tombstone too, but I can't thank you enough for coming tonight and spending your St. Patty's Day with us.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
Is there anything you'd like to say? I do. I've got my Boondock Saints on. That's wonderful. And it's been amazing. And I always am amazed at, seeing some of the drone footage and then actually getting some of the stories from within, like I'd nenever heard of the jail before. That's all.
Oh, wow.
Everything was new to me tonight.
Well, that's awesome. There's so many other things we could talk about in the book, like the Rock of Cashel, smoky ghosts, and all the haunted history and more residual energy. But one of the things that people should know about this book, not only is there the videos linked at the end and within the chapters, but the chapters are in order alphabetically by county.
Okay.
To make it easier for you to see. And within the county, there are the different places that I've been. And every single chapter has a picture, so you can envision it. And for those that want to know what the ghosts look like, I've actually sketched some of the ghosts out when I was on vacation, so you can see pictures of sketches of the ghosts too.
So much.
I tried to make it all encompassing, like a book that I want to read. So
yeah, I think it's got everything. It's really definitive. You can see why it's hitting #1 on so many of these. Listen, go and get it Amazon, get that physical copy. And if you don't, have time to read the whole thing, and you're commuter, or you like to listen to stuff while you're doing whatever your thing is, get it on the audio book that's available, and also available on Amazon. Same place.
Yeah, it's just that you won't see the pictures or the sketches.
Right. So you're missing out there. So this is one you want to get out physical, but it might be getting both. So, depending on how you like to listen to stuff, get a hold of that. Yep. Boondock State. There we go. D-Rock. Lovely. That and Flogging Molly. I'm telling you right now. But, and I'm Scottish. So I was Irish for you tonight. There you go. Like I said, more Native American on that. I'm learning about all that, but I think it's important. You said you're a quarter, right? Have you ever done how far back you go, and can you get way, way, way back? No.
I'm a quarter French Canadian, half Italian, and
that's I know I've gone all the way back in Scotland to our coat of arms, and Murdoch is kind of a little bit more like Smith here, in ways I've heard. So, but I always think it's so important to dig into that, because I think those qualities are all part of little pieces, like the paranormal puzzle we're trying to put together. It's all connected. We are the combination of those who walked before us, and our bloodline. So you're going to get certain traits from that, not just features and things like that, or your height or anything else, other things you might be interested in. And I think that's a real thing, because the more I watch of shows like that, like Who Do You Think You Are, often somebody will look back, a comedian will look back and find out, his third grandfather, whatever, was the same, and it carried over. So we're all part of that. And I think you get to pick what you emphasize, but some of those things are going to be there no matter what. And I think that happens with ghosts too. I think those prominent personalities is what we see first. Their anger, they're upset that you're in their cellar. They just want quiet, or they want nothing to change. That's why they get upset when you knock walls out and change doorways, that I think are so important. And they'll still go through doorways that aren't there anymore. We hear that all the time. So there's a lot more to this. And with friends like Rob, I think we're unfolding a lot of the answers. Thank you, my friend, for spending this time with us. It's always wonderful, isn't it?
Thank you. Yes. Oh my gosh, you totally make my day every day.
We just have so much fun.
We do. And I can't think of any better way to spend St. Patrick's Day talking about the ghosts of Ireland with my very dear friend Cisco.
This has been wonderful, sweetie. And I've had so much fun looking up all these little things for you guys and all the wonderful drone footage. And so if you haven't seen it, please pay attention to the middle song. I think it's very apropos for tonight. It's called The Parting Glass. It's absolutely beautiful. And it's also looking back at some of the people that helped hold Ireland together, helped build it, struggled through its hard times. I want you to look at their feet. There are very few people from this era wearing shoes, you know, and I don't think it was because they couldn't get them. I think it's because they chose not to, because other things were more important. And I think a lot of us are choosing those things now. But I also want you to see at the very end where they did just fine and they came through great, and there's smiles on these young faces and they're celebrating their heritage. And I want you to remember that good times are just around the bend. Keep the lights on. Rob, is there anything you'd like to say on the way out, my love?
Just know that you're all surrounded by the spirits of your loved ones. And if you concentrate enough, you can feel them.
Absolutely. Love is eternal and love never dies. We've proved it over and over and over again. And that goes for your pets too. Even more so, I think. Don't you believe that, Rob? It's
100%.
wonderful. 100%. My love to all your furry friends out there and your family. And thank you so much for spending this time with us. I'm going to play this little video on the way out. Everybody, the chat will still be live for the next 8-10 minutes. Please welcome everybody that was new here tonight. Please hit the like. Please subscribe and go in and subscribe to all the links that we're going to put up tonight for Rob. And it's also in the description because, man, if you're interested in the paranormal, this is absolutely a wonderful, fantastic way to learn things that you never even thought were out there. Thank you, Rob, for tonight.
Thank you so much. Love you, Cisco.
I love you too, baby. Good night, everybody. Love you, chat. And thank you, mods, for tonight. You did a great job, and I love this energy. And see you tomorrow night with Steve Stockton. Good night, sweetheart.
Of all the money that e'er I spent it in good company, and of all the harm that e'er I've done, alas, it was to none but me. And all I've done for want of wit to memory I can't recall. So fill to me the parting glass. Good night and joy be with you all. If I had money enough to spend and soul.